An antitrust trial is now underway concerning Live Nation. The ticketing giant merged with Ticketmaster back in 2010 and is being sued now by the Justice Department, accused of being a monopoly that uses its dominance to increase ticket prices. We all have paid a lot of money for a ticket, so let's try to get through this with our legal expert, Whitney Traylor. We'll talk specifically about this trial. Everybody knows ticket prices are out of control, and we've seen them go up over the years. But what are the basics of this trial? Why are they being sued?
Right. So what this case is about, it involves antitrust and the prevention of a monopoly. And the notion behind antitrust is that if a company gets too big and takes over too much of the market, then there's no competition. If there's no competition, they can do whatever they want. They can raise prices, give poor quality. So the notion behind antitrust is that competition is good for the consumer. And the allegation here is Live Nation, Ticketmaster, they merged, as you said, in 2010. Yep. Well, Ticketmaster controls 80% of the tickets on concerts and that type of thing. Live Nation has about 400 musical artists that it actually manages. They control more than 60% of concert promotions, and then they have these relationships with the venues. So essentially, they're covering every base, and they say to the artist, hey, unless you come to our venue, we're not going to do X, Y, Z. Or they say to the folks, say, we want you to manage our tickets, and they say, okay, if you have this artist at this venue. So they're controlling everything, and the DOJ, after Taylor Swift, this has been on people's radar for some time, but it was Taylor Swift and the Swifties that really brought it into the headline. And so now the DOJ is trying to, essentially they're going to try and break up Live Nation and
the stories over Taylor Swift were a lot. People traveling out of the country to get tickets.
I had friends who traveled internationally so that they would pay less than ticket prices here in America.
It was so much. So what's Live Nation's response?
So Live Nation is basically saying there's more competition than ever in this industry because there's a lot of people in it. And this is why this is a 6-week trial. All of these facts will come out. There'll be facts and figures. So they're saying the outcome of the trial won't lower ticket prices because they're saying the bulk of the service fees actually go to the venues. And they're also saying their market share has steadily been going down over the years. But when you start off with 80% of the market and you go down to 75,
what the heck?
Is that significant? Yeah.
Well, so let me ask you this, and you may not know this. I just think out loud. 2010 isn't a long time ago. Who thought that this merger was a good idea? Like that's at the start of it, right? Right.
No, that's a great point because the DOJ, lots of people were against this. And I mean, Pearl Jam first came out in the 1990s against Ticketmaster. So this has been on the radar for a long time. But the DOJ was so concerned, and a lot of people said that merger should have never went forward, that they put them under a consent decree. So they had to comply with certain things over the years, and the DOJ was essentially overseeing it to prevent this type of monopoly. And a lot of people are blaming the DOJ and saying, you didn't do a good enough job on the consent decree.
How did that consent decree work out?
So there could be some big names that would testify. Is this a jury trial?
Yes, it is a jury trial. 12
then
jurors.
How are you not influenced if some big name?
That's a great point. And that I'm sure the lawyers will address that. A good lawyer is going to say, yeah, you're going to see some famous people here, and their testimony has the same weight as other people. And you get to decide the credibility and the weight of that witness. But some of the folks, we just were talking about Kid Rock. He's scheduled to testify. The Minnesota Timberwolves CEO, Rock Nation CEO, Mumford & Sons, one of I think their bass player. There's going to be a number of fans that testify, Drake's manager. So it's going to be a
it's a who's who.
Yeah, if you're going to have to sit on a jury, that's not a bad
That's a good one.
But it's a long
6 weeks, though.
Yeah, it's a long case, and you miss a lot of work. I just got one final question for you in the time we have left, and I know that our viewers out there, whether they're whatever age they are, everybody loves music and they go to shows, and ticket prices are outrageous. Do you see anything coming out of this particular trial? Say they break them up. Is that going to affect ticket prices? Are they going to go down, or are they only going to go up?
Well, there's a lot of folks, there's a lot of experts, economic experts, that are saying if they break up, it will lead to lower prices because it's going to foster competition. And the notion, as we said at the beginning, competition lowers prices. Ticketmaster and Live Nation are saying no, it's not going to, because there's a fair amount of competition now. But I think it also depends on what the breakup looks like. Is it a complete breakup? Are they saying only portions of the company have to break up? So time will tell. And a lot of people are saying that they. Well, actually, people, I was going to say one side or the other, people are quite conflicted on how the outcome is going to be.
Like a divorce.
Right. But
Jeez.
there's a lot of evidence that they do have a monopoly. So I think the DOJ is probably
Numbers
gonna
are the
prevail.
numbers, right?
Right.
The ticket prices are just so outrageous. You said Taylor Swift, Bruce Springsteen had an issue with that as well.
Yes.
Shortly after Taylor Swift, I think.
Yes.
And it just, the music, everybody loves music. Everybody should be able to see live music,
Yeah.
not just the rich.
There you go. Well said.
All right, I'm off my soapbox.
Come on now.
It's true.